Good morning, happy Saturday, and welcome to another Weekend Honeydew. So if you follow us on Instagram, you probably noticed my little rant last Sunday about a particular home that it's an older home that had been kind of stripped of all of its architectural integrity by a developer. I had some choice words, but I thought would be great to kind of expound upon those and really talk about what I do when I'm approaching older homes design in my home and with clients. And it's very simple. Just do no harm. So what does that mean? It sounds so simple, but what does it truly mean? What are we allowed to do in our homes, and then what are we not? So I do like to preface all of this by saying, ultimately, your home, your choice. I support any decision that is made from a place of love and appreciation. Now, I would love if the buyers of older homes always upheld those elements, but that's not necessarily the case. But what I do find fault in is, especially when people who are developers or landlords or people that are really there doing work for an investment purpose, strip it away, because ultimately they're doing it for $1, not because they love XYZ. So if you're a developer, listen up. And if you're everybody else, take this, and I hope that you can kind of retain some of what I'm telling you in your own home. So basically, my premise is always, can whatever I do be undone? It's very simple. So aside from electrical and plumbing and those things that you want to update, and obviously you don't want to go back to knob and tube or gas lanterns for that matter. But other than that, are the elements that I'm doing, or all the things that I'm doing, are those things that can be undone by someone else if they wanted to after me? If someone came into my home, could they tell by these architectural elements the period that the home was built? So as you can see behind me, I have a fireplace that is painted. I have walls and built-ins that were painted. Now, specifically in my home, a lot of our woodwork was already painted. This fireplace had already been painted by the previous owner. So I personally didn't make the decision to add paint versus leaving it natural. But if you follow me, you probably know about the saga that I had with our dining room turned now music room, because it was the only spot in the house that had natural paneling, natural wood. And it had not been painted. And because it hadn't been painted, I felt so guilty about painting it. Now, some people that are super old home enthusiasts probably will disagree with me, because I say ultimately it's your home. And again, if you put paint on something, technically speaking, you could strip that back down if you wanted to. But I encourage people that there are so many other ways of remedying or leaving as is. First, you could just appreciate it as it is. Also, you could always stain it or whitewash it into a lighter tone, so maybe your woodwork is not going to be as heavy if you're seeking something that's extra light and airy, for instance. But all of those things, again, can be undone. And I would always say that painting woodwork and leaving it in place is much better than ripping it out entirely. The second part is lighting. I absolutely adore lighting. That's kind of my guilty pleasure. But lighting, especially in older homes, can always be changed out. So you can always interject a very ultra-modern lighting fixture in an older home, and it just sings so loudly and beautifully. And if somebody comes behind you and wants something that's maybe more period accurate, they could always switch that out very simply and easily. So that's some place that you could always add your own flair, your creativeness, you can let shine through. And I always say, make friends with an electrician that's not afraid to go fishing through your walls, because you don't want anything that's externally mounted, but there's always ways of fishing it through your walls that keeps everything really aesthetically pleasing without compromising those modern aspects. So we put like USB ports next to our bed. We put heated floors in our bathroom. So there's these modern elements and these things that make our life so much better. But then we also didn't rip out or try to change anything that, again, could not be undone. And then also there's paint. So it is just paint. So I know that it's kind of scary, but that is where you can really, really have fun. So wallpaper and paint are my go-to tools when I'm trying to explore a modern or just something different. I always say modern as if that's the only aesthetic, but you could always have fun and paint your ceiling green, throw up a crazy print, and those things could be changed out by the next owner. But by doing those things and focusing on the things that can be undone, you're again doing no harm, you're retaining the architectural integrity. And if someone else comes behind you, which you hope they do, because guess what? Your home's been around for 100 years and hopefully 100 more. And then, if you are, I love to pretend that all of these older homes are always left intact, but the truth is that most of them over the course of their existence have been torn apart and mismatched. So oftentimes you'll find these stripped rooms, if you will, in like the kitchen and the bathroom. Those most of the times are where people are updating throughout the course of time. And those are where probably you're going to be missing those original features. So if you're lucky enough to still have those original features, truly work with a professional to figure out how to incorporate them into whatever your end goal is. Also, if you are working with a bare shell that has been completely ripped away of everything that was original, this is your place in your playground to play with. So you could do something ultra modern. You could, of course, look for things that are going to help support what's going on in the rest of the home. But that, I think, is where you have the freedom to explore a little bit more, try out some more things that you would not normally do had they been intact. But I will always say, craftsman wins over and over and over again. So do not compromise on that. Get good trades in there and they will do a good job, but choose quality materials and quality people to do the work for you. And then I know it's not last, it's actually your first step, but think about what you ultimately want in a home. So I know they always say location, 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 but the truth of the matter is think about what your ultimate goal is. I personally love leaving walls up. I think my home is this beautiful onion that you can unpeel and discover over time. It doesn't just hit you right when you hit in the front door. And I love that about my home. But if you're somebody that's like, I absolutely want you to walk in and see my expansive home all at once, look for something that possibly is mid-century. Those homes that are or open, they have less ornate detailing, they've got more simple lines. Those do so well with merging into what we consider a modern open concept. So you're by no means obligated to buy a huge Victorian if those elements of a Victorian aren't something that you ultimately want. So looking at that beforehand, before you even purchase your home, will make sure that, again, you're doing no harm to the home that you ultimately have, and you're supporting what you need in your space today. And then last but not least, turn off the TV. You guys, to think that some of your design decisions are made based off of a program, show, platform, whatever you want to call it, that is serving millions of people is simply not doing justice. We, like our homes, are all so unique. We all have different ideas and desires, and we cannot just be painting everything with one broad stroke. So get in tune with your neighborhood. Get in tune with what is unique about your home. I have a home that's completely different than my next door neighbors. Now, they're both in the same neighborhood and they were both built around the same time, but they have two complete different styles, and there's some elements that are in her home and that are specific to her home. I have completely different elements, but embracing those as individuals instead of just wanting all the same thing is making both of our homes sing so beautifully. And I think as consumers, as homeowners, we need to do more of that when we are truly embracing what is unique and inspiring about our own spaces and making them as unique as we are. So I hope these elements help. I hope what I've said you can kind of take to heart. Again, they're not law, but they've been my guiding principles when approaching any design. And again and again and again, we see that if you do no harm, you are adding to the legacy of your home, and instead of stopping short from what it could be. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Again, it was a pleasure that you're here, and we will see you next week. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.